What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to teach you how I edit pictures for clients, whether it's for Instagram, Facebook, whether you're blowing it up for a print, whatever it may be. I'm going to teach you how I personally edit those pictures. I'm going to run you through Lightroom, taking the picture. I'll give you some hints. I may do a separate video on how I specifically take the pictures, angles, lighting, that kind of thing. Today I'm just going to be going through, so you've got the picture, let's go ahead and edit it. So I'm going to jump over to my computer real quick. I'm going to go ahead and run through it. If you want me to make a different video, something else like, hey, I don't know how to do this, let me know. I'm not saying by any means that I'm a professional or anything. I'll learn with you. Let's do it together. I want to try to learn how to get this as good as I can with any kind of Photoshop, Lightroom like that. I've just now started. I'm going to say I took up photography about 7 months ago, so don't take everything I say as if it's the correct way. It's just how I do it. I'm going to go ahead, jump over to Lightroom, show you what I do. May or may not be what you want to do. Everybody's got their own style. Let's go to it. I was going to run through a little bit, try to get some music. Run through a bit of how I mute my phone, and then how I go from a raw image, which this is, to an edited picture. This one I edited already. That's the raw, the stock image. That's just with editing. I think a lot of people are taking pictures, not editing them, and I'm not going to say that I'm doing it the correct way, but not editing at all. So I was going to run through how I did it. This is by no means the correct way. I don't think there is a correct way. I think every photographer is going to have their own style, and I'm still finding mine. Some cars are different. Well, every car is different the way you edit. I'll do some silver, do some black, show you just the basis of what I do, and try to get some ideas. Like this shot here is not preferably what I would want to do, because as you can see, I'm about to point like the car, you can see this wheel, this wheel, and this wheel. You can't really see that wheel, but glad that it's there. So I like to get all 4 wheels in the picture. Like this one, see that back wheel? I would prefer to have it just a little bit, camera angle a little bit to the left. As I'm telling you this, I don't even do it while I'm shooting. I need to. This one, it's just a little weird. That may be. See, I need to get over to the right a little bit. This is an edited picture. A little bit on what I do. Photoshop also. Obviously, this. That is the non-photoshopped one. So I took out all this stuff. Took out the lamppost in the background. I took out some reflections in the car. So I'm going to go to pick one. That one's already edited. We'll do this one to start with. I like to zoom in first, make sure the car's in focus. I'll do this one. This one seems a little bit more in focus. Got a dark side of the car, which isn't preferable, but it happens. So hopefully I can try to fix that a little bit. So first thing I do, honestly, I cheat a little bit while I turn away. I cheat a little bit. I go to right here in the top. Let's see. So I go up here. I hit auto lighting. It gives me just an idea of what it's going to look like a little bit. Now, when you get your exposure, shutter speed, all that right, it won't have that much because there's not much. So what I like to do is I like to exaggerate it, bring it up a little bit more than need. So I like to bring the highlights down. Highlights just blow out the picture. So what I'll do is bring the highlights all the way down, shadows all the way up, just to get a feel for these kinds of areas of the car. Bring up the dark side of the car. I'll bring the blacks down where that looks too dark to me. So I'll bring it back up to about there. Whites don't matter that much unless you are going above where they were. if you ever need to reset something on Lightroom, which is what I'm using, I don't know if I said that, I'm using Lightroom. If you ever want to reset it, say you wanted to reset contrast is at 0.6 or highlights at -100. So you want to reset that, just click on the word and it resets it. So I'll go through each one of these. Exposure is how bright the picture is, right? Reset all this. So use auto if you don't know what you're doing at first, just to learn, just to help you. Exposure is going to be just how bright the picture is in layman's terms. Took a picture like this, brighten it up. Took a picture that's too bright, you can darken it down. I'm going to leave the exposure there for now. I don't think that it needs to be brighter. I'm looking at the background. I think I can bring this up with shadows. I think that I'm going to get rid of this probably in Photoshop. So contrast, the next one. Contrast is how different each color and shadow, how different each thing looks. If you bring contrast all the way down, it's going to be just a very hazy white picture. No depth to it, just flat. If you bring it the other way, it's going to look like you edited it on a 1997 Android, those apps that we all thought were cool at some point, like that. Not a fan. I usually, if it's a nature picture, and again, none of this is right. If it's a nature picture, I'll bring the contrast down a little bit just to kind of make everything a little bit more even. Now, if it's a long distance shot, I'll bring contrast a little bit more up. Honestly, I don't mess with contrast that much because I think that it can really make the picture strange. Highlights, like I've already said, I bring those all the way down unless stated otherwise. Shadows, I'll bring those not necessarily all the way up, but I'll go all the way up and then back them down just a little bit. Whites, I kind of leave alone. Blacks, I'll bring down a little bit. So I actually do want to bring the exposure after I mess with everything. I want to bring it back up a little bit. And that, if I mute this phone one more time, hold on. Okay. Point curve. I don't mess with that. That's advanced for me, I'll say. I don't know what I'm doing with point curve. I know that you can mess with tone curve and all kinds of stuff, and it brings up different parts of the light, and I don't know. I never mess with it. If you ever make a mistake, say that you come down here and you start messing with tone curve and you know what you're doing. Say you do this and you're messing with it, and now the picture looks like that. Whatever that is. Control Z will undo anything you do. Don't worry. Even if you delete a picture, Control Z. I know some people know that, some people may not. Color profile, I usually leave it in Adobe Color. I didn't even go down the list and say that at first. So next step would be color. That's what I would go to next. Temperature is going to be, I think natural light is somewhere around 5,000 with this number here. So if you type in 5,000, that should be what your eye sees. In the middle of the day, something like that. If you want a little bit of a warm feel to it, bump it up to 6,000. That's going to be your trees in the background, warm. You want like a sunset or sunrise feel to it. If you want something a little bit less, don't go too far. Go to like 4,500. That's definitely a blue feel to a cooler feel to the whole picture. I usually bump mine to like 5,200. Nothing crazy. Just a little bit warmer. Nothing exaggerated. Tint, I'll leave that alone. When you hit auto, it changes some of the stuff. It changes vibrance, changes saturation. Vibrance is going to be how bright each color is in the picture. So if I do that, black and white, right? Vibrance and saturation are kind of the same thing, in my opinion. Saturation is going to be how much of each color you see. It's going to be if you in a black and white picture and you wanted the car to be back silver, you would highlight the car, bring the saturation all the way up, and it would make it's basically like contrast and exposure. Saturation, think of it as a color exposure. Vibrance is contrast. I usually bring the saturation up just a bit, and that's it. Like 0.9 or plus 9-ish. So we'll go down the line here. I don't mess with this, I do color, because if you do hue, saturation, and luminance, it's all right here. So I go by each one. This picture is not going to have any red in it, so change saturation of all that's not going to do anything. Orange is going to be your background. That could be some yellow in it. It's going to be careful. You'll wash out or change the color of side markers really easy with that. Also, if you're in Georgia, the peach on the license plate, people forget that. So people be like, why is the peach purple and gray and black and white? Just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind when you're doing anything, really. You got to notice also there's green on the side of the car. What we see may not be what is true. So that could be yellow, green, whatever. So orange, bring it all the way up, bring it down, whatever your style, whatever you like, whatever you're going for on the picture. With this one, I'll probably bring this orange up a little bit just to get that background. Yellow would be next. That's going to be most of the background. Now, orange can make things look dirty also. So right here in this area, it's going to look a little orange. It looks a little dirty. So I'll bring that out. But be careful taking too much color out. You can definitely make a silver car look like a black and white picture really quick. Yellow would be next. That's the background. I'm going to make it go a little orange. I'm going for a warmer feel on this. Bring it up a little bit. Bring the luminance down. It's going to be darker in the background. I want it to be dark. I want the car to stand out. I want it to pop a little bit. There's a bunch of green right here on the side of the car. I thought it may have been yellow. Sometimes it picks up as yellow. For that green, I'm going to want to get rid of it. So I'm going to bring saturation all the way down. Luminance, you can darken that out. Kind of gets rid of everything. So for hue, if you are, I'll do another picture for hue of green, bring out warmer fields. Cyan, that's going to be some of your sunlight reflections. See here, if you bring it all the way up, see here, I keep pointing like y'all can see me. All of this is cyan. So what I will do is probably bring that close to all the way down. You don't really want to see cyan. Sometimes when people blow up pictures, cyan really easy. Definitely want that down. So a lot of reflections in tinted windshields and stuff is going to be cyan. Want that to come down. Now if you'll notice right here, a bunch of pink and purple reflections. Get rid of. So go to your pink, bring it down. Purple, bring it down. So now they're still reflections. They're still washed out. Car's not 100% focused. It's not a great picture. That's why I didn't give it to the client. But it's an okay picture. But I'm just trying to teach you of what I do. Again, none of this is right by any means. So here's blue. Blue is the biggest one in car photography to me that makes a difference. Blue is reflected by the sun and sky. Not sun. It's reflected from the sky onto cars. If you bring blue up, that looks like every iPhone picture on Instagram that I've seen. People need to bring blue out of cars. It's the biggest help. But what people do is they see that and they're like, wow, that looks good. And they bring it all out. Now that looks black and white. Can't do that. Can't bring it all the way out. So what I will do is that's stock. I'll bring it all the way down and then back up a little bit till it brings color and life back into the car. So about there. Now you may not say that's a difference. So -62 to there adds just a little bit. You don't want to go too much because you don't want the car to be blue. But you can definitely affect a lot of the car with the luminance also in the background. Brighten up the car a little bit. Alright, that's done with color. Once you do all your color, you can go back and adjust the temperature if you want a little bit of a warm feel, if you want blue, whatever. Alright, so the next thing is going to be effects. Texture is going to be similar to clarity, but it's going to think that this stuff back here is like rough concrete. I mean, it is rough concrete, but it's going to really bring it out. So you see, it adds detail. It really brings out all of the texture. I don't like doing that. Maybe a little bit. Clarity, people get carried away with this all the time. That what I've seen. For some reason, people think that all the way up looks good. If that's your style, it's your style. I don't prefer it. I'm not a big fan of adding clarity to the background, mainly just the car. Um, I don't really touch any of this except for I'll add a little bit of vignette. That's it. I don't really usually go towards negative 25 plus because that can really make it look strange. I usually go just to where the edges of the screen start darkening. About it. I'll show you some more with effects. Detail, I never worry about. Optics, the enable lens correction. So when you take a picture, kind of zooms in around the edges. It kind of has a, not a vignette, but a balloon shape to it. So you kind of need to see the back of the car here. It kind of pushes it in naturally. So enable that lens correction. It should be enabled by default to bring the car back out, make it look like it does in real life. All right, so the next thing I would do is crop the picture. People forget to do this, and it bothers me. So you see the background, I point and do it, but you see here on the right side of the screen where the wall meets the ground, the curb is in one section, and then you go straight over, and that curb is not in the same section. It's tilted. So that's going to make your, not aspect ratio, but it's going to make everything look a little wonky. So what I'll do is try to pick the same one on the curb, make the curb level. Pick something in the background or pick the car and make it level. That looks a lot better than what it did look like. That's all I usually do. If I need to crop out something like that, then I will, but I'm not going to. I'm going to mess with that stuff in Photoshop. So there's that. So we can look at what we've come to this far by coming down here and clicking this here, Show Original. So as you can see, we've come a pretty decent way so far. You can leave it there if you want to. I choose to go a little bit further. So what I'll do is, this car still doesn't look great to me. Kind of dark on this side. It's light right here. Best way to fix that would be to have the car turned this way with his nose pointed to the left of the screen. Back in, obviously, this way when the car's this way. So what you need to do is preferably get light on all of the car, even light. You don't want to cast these shadows. This is really not the best picture. But fix that a little bit. I will take this brush, exposure all the way down, brush is over here. Healing, don't worry about that. I do that in Photoshop. If you want to do it here, you can. I'll show you how to use it in a second. But I'm still working on this car. So I take the brush, you roll your mouse, change the size of it. So I'll take the exposure all the way down. The reason I do that is so I can see where I'm painting. If you have the exposure up, you have no idea where you're doing it, and you could end up bumping out the car, or it just looks strange. So I do a big brush size for all of the shadowed parts. I think I don't really mess with those because you can make those look strange. And I'm just changing the size of the brush here. You don't have to be exact with it. It kind of fades out for you or feathers out for you. Make sure you get the wheel. Don't forget about the wheels. So paint in all of the darker spots of the car. The sun is hitting from this direction, hitting the front wheel. I'll brighten it up a little. I've got that. So that's normal, right? You got your shadow. Mostly here is the shadow. I'll bring that up just a little bit. If you go too far, it looks fake. You can't do that. Bring it up a little bit. Not much. Just to kind of help you undo the mistake you did that the car's not pointed the right way. All right. Do another brush. Exposure all the way down. This time I'm going to paint the whole car. So I'll show you what we're doing this for in a second. Goes back to the clarity I was talking about. Again, not to be perfect with clarity. If you're doing exposure, you need to be a little bit more precise with it because, like I said, it's going to show the edges of this brush a lot easier. Clarity is going. So I'm somewhat painting the whole car. All right, got the whole car painted. Reset the exposure, click it like I told you. Clarity, go all the way up. It makes the car look a lot more crisp. I'm not gonna go all the way up. I'll back it down just a little bit. I usually go about 50. That looks a lot better to me. And all right. So the next thing, texture. These linear gradients, you can do this a lot easier, or not easier. You can do this a lot more fine in Photoshop. I'm just trying to get started away. Like I said, you're all going to have your own style to this that I can't. You may say, I don't like that he took the green out of the side of the car. I don't like that it's orange. I don't like that the blue's gone. You know, I don't like that. Whatever you don't like, change it. It's fine. So again, exposure all the way down just to see where you're going with it. This linear gradient, I've drug it from the bottom. Got 3 lines here. This blue dot, move the whole thing. If you want more of a fine line, take this bottom line and drag it closer. Now you've got a definite fine line, right? If you want to angle it, grab this middle line, angle it. So what I'm going to do is do it like this, kind of counteract the car being in the space. Drag this bottom down to where it fades. Right, so now we've got a linear gradient there, but there's nothing there because it's all stock settings. What I'll do is usually bring the exposure down just a little bit, kind of focus more on the car. You can also bring it up if you wanted to. That is totally your call. Just trying to teach you how to use these. I would bring it down, bring the highlights out again. But you can play around with all this saturation. If you've got a sky up there that you took all the color out. See, I took the blue out of the picture, so there's nothing there. We'll say that you got a sky and you wanted to put the blue back in the sky. Paint it and bring the saturation up. You can do a gradient and bring the saturation up, or you can go into Photoshop and just take the blue out of the car. I haven't learned how on Lightroom to take individual colors out of painted things. I'm calling it painted, just saturation is just, again, how much the colors are going to. So you can take the blue out of the picture completely, put that saturation in there, I'm past it. So this doesn't look bad. I want more of a uniform feel to it, so I'm just going to leave it there. Now the next linear gradient that I like to do, come up from the bottom, leave more of a fine line. It keeps your settings. So set that exposure all the way down. I go right up to the car. Take that. Okay. Now I'll darken this a little bit, and I'll bring the texture we're talking about all the way up, and just add some depth in front of the car, because otherwise, when you're taking a picture, you focus on this car, and depending on your aperture, which is how wide your lens, it blurs out the rest. The lower the aperture, the more blurry everything is in the background. So if you have a 1.8 aperture, it's going to, or 1.4 if you got a good lens. I have 1.8, so when I take that, I take it 1.8 ISO 100, and I change shutter speed, change the brightness of it. My go-to on a sunny day, I know I'm getting AD. My go-to on a sunny day is f-stop at 1.8, which is your aperture. I do ISO of 100 and shutter speed around 1500 just to start. So what you want to do is bring that texture up there, because it acts like it focused a little bit on the ground. To achieve that with a blurry background, you f-stop up about, I don't know, 5-ish, more focused. All right, so I think that's all I'm going to do. In another quick way you can do the car. So say you don't want to brush it. So let's delete that. That is the clarity. That's all that was. You can do a radial gradient. So I'll just go about the size of the car, right? Which I didn't realize how to do this when I first started. To tilt this, grab the edge right here and you can tilt it. Even if you're on Lightroom Mobile, which is an app on your phone, you can do that. Bring the texture out, bring exposure out. just reset them, and then you can bring clarity up. It does it around the car also, but you can't tell. So if you want to do it that way, you can. Pretty much the result. All right, so there's our original picture. There's where we're at now. Again, car's out of focus, not my best picture, but say you wanted to take out this stuff here. I'll teach you that in Photoshop real quick. So, or in Lightroom, and then I'll go to Photoshop. Healing brush. That's what that's going to be for. You can change the size, same thing by rolling. The healing brush in Lightroom doesn't work as good as the one in Photoshop. That's why I use the one in Photoshop. So if you were going to place this, drag it, highlight it. So see what it's doing. It's taking this concrete spot and just replacing it with this one and feathering it in. So if you take this and put it on the headlight, you're going to have another headlight there. So just take it, put it on a similar piece of concrete, and now you just got rid of that. Same thing with this. Sometimes it will default in a spot that you don't want it to do, right? Now that one's close to that shadow, so if you wanted to get rid of that shadow, which I believe is the owner of the car standing in way of the sun, you could do that in Lightroom, but it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to highlight the whole thing, and you're going to have to line up this crack in the road. So I would do it about like that, right? Now you still got your shadow because I cut off this. So what you're going to have to do, Control Z, you're going to have to move this where it's going to be hard to do. Not that you can't do it, you're going to have to do it in two sections, what you're going to have to do. So get rid of that. So I'm going to do this. And one. All right, so line up your lines. That is somewhat lined up. This one is the paste up here. So I make sure I keep that line right about there. So that's not bad, again, because the original looked like that. But you can tell something's happened there. You can spend more time with it, get better with it, and do it what you want. But what I'm going to do is do it in Photoshop. All these, now I have no healing marks at all on. So if you have Photoshop installed, right click, edit in Photoshop. So I think you can still hear me, but Photoshop is pretty demanding on a computer. So I'll do this quick. So anytime you do any healing or Photoshop or anything like that, that's going to use your graphics card or your CPU, depending on what you have. That's pretty hard on a computer. So that's why if I start doing a lot of healing, especially Lightroom, even on my phone, if I do one healing thing that's bigger than like that, if it's bigger than my pinky, it will freak out. If I try to take out a stop sign or something like that, my whole phone like won't shut down. So Photoshop looks intimidating the first time you see it, but that's because you can do so much with Photoshop. I definitely do not use Photoshop to its full potential. I'm going to say I use Photoshop 10% of what you can use it for. If you wanted to take this car and put it on Mars and Photoshop everything in, then you could do it and it'd be a really good picture, but you have to be a lot better at Photoshop than I am. So first things first, hit your magnifying glass over here, fit screen. So if you want to zoom in, say that you were trying to place, I don't know, you wanted to get rid of this little reflection right here. You can grab your magnifying glass, click it, and drag to the right, and that zooms in. Drag to the left, that zooms out. So if you wanted to get rid of that, come up here to this little Band-Aid healing brush. change the size of it. You can't change the size of it by wheeling. You have to go up here to the top, which says 34. That's how many pixels it is. Down to about 20. And just highlight it. And it got rid of that flare a pretty good bit. I'm going to get rid of the pink also. That did it for me. I mean, I don't have to go find somewhere else. I don't have to go see what it's taking. I don't have to do it. It got rid of that flare. So you get rid of this flare too. Highlight the whole thing, and it gets rid of it for you. You can scroll down with your mouse, and if you hold Control and scroll, go left and right, just to help you when you're. So I'm going to get rid of all of these reflections in the car. I'm not going to do the ones on the badges because that could look weird. I could take the Z01 badge out of it right here. Very easy to get disoriented when you're doing this. If you are this small, where it's 20 pixels is how big it is, don't really worry about messing up so bad. If you end up going to where you can't see something anymore, if you're zoomed into where you can see pixels, you're definitely not going to notice it by the time you post it on Instagram, whatever. If you're doing a print or blowing it up, then I'd recommend maybe taking a better look at it. I've got the stock picture pulled up on this screen here in Lightroom, so I'm zoomed in. I know that this is an cooler. Some of the stuff I don't want to replace because it can make the car look weird. So I'm going to zoom out. Okay, there's another reflection here. Back to the healing brush, which I believe is J. So if you want to switch back and forth quick, that's Z and J. That's about all I use, unless I'm doing a background replacement, which I can show you guys at some point. Kind of saw how it was replacing with the thing right beside it. Do this quick. I got rid of a good amount. It's not going to look like it when you're first doing it because you are in the middle of it and you can tell. So see how that looks a little bit weird? I'm not going to worry about it. Because nobody's ever going to look that hard at a picture on Instagram. How to do it. All right, so I've gotten rid of a lot of reflection, harsh reflections. I could keep going, but so I'm going to bring this back up to about 50. That's good for doing stuff right in front of the car, in my opinion. Paint that, get rid of it. And get rid of all these blemishes and just trash on the road that I didn't think to pick up while I was taking the car. Pretty simple. Works good. Now, you got to be careful. You can get rid of the lines in the road. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. What I'll do is I'll paint that and paint the shadow. So hopefully it knows that I want to keep the line in the road. Didn't. So what you can do, you can do two things. You can actually grab your paintbrush and just draw a black line in, or nobody will notice if you take that whole line out. Nobody's going to say, where'd that line go? All right, so you see how you can kind of tell stuff has been done here, right? Especially with it. Shadow, I can't get. That's why. Picture. So get rid of that. Get rid of the lines, get rid of all of them. Notice that you got rid of a line. All right, so what I'll do here, you kind of see some stuff's not right. I'll grab the blur tool, is these that I never remember. I think it's this one. And I'll just blur this whole thing a little bit, where you can't tell that anything happened. Okay. So fit to screen. All right, so we've gotten rid of a good amount of stuff. So what I'll do is file, save, and then exit out of it, right? Now, you've got two pictures here. They stack them. Click on those, Here is the Lightroom picture. There's the Photoshop picture. So as you can tell, a lot of these harsh images or reflections up front are gone. Just looks a lot more clean, a lot more cleaner. So there's our stock picture. There's our Photoshopped complete picture. So I hope this was a help. I'll do a little bit more series on this. I'm going to post it on my YouTube also. YouTube Ghost 6. A picture of my camera. Hopefully, if you guys got any questions, edit this video so I don't babble as much. If you guys got any questions, put them in the comments. Let me know. I've also got Instagram, GhostWS6. Same thing. This handle is pretty much across any platform. If you got a question or want me to help you edit, I've got no problem doing that. If you want a photo shoot thing, hit me up. Let me know. All right, guys. All right, so that's how I edit pictures. That is not very reflective of the necessarily correct way, but then again, there is no correct way to edit pictures. There's your style. People may definitely criticize your way, but it's your way. If everybody's pictures look the same, then there's no point in having more than one photographer in the world. So if you're gonna make your pictures and if somebody doesn't like it, whatever. So definitely I take advice. I'll post on Facebook, whatever, Instagram, say, hey, can I get some criticism on this? People sometimes, yeah, they're like, hey, that looks terrible. And sometimes I go back and I'm like, that did look terrible. So sometimes you go in there and you're like, okay, well, what looks terrible about it? Some people want to help you, some people don't. I'm here to hopefully help you along the way as easily as I can. I'm not saying that I've got all the answers, but let's figure them out together. So hopefully this is a little video series I'm going to do about how I take pictures, what the equipment I use is, if you want to get started with photography, because I just recently started. I mean, I've only been doing it 6-7 months. If you want to do prints, if you want to do car photography, different things like that, car photography is going to be my niche market, or niche. That's going to be my thing. So if you want to get started with car photography, follow, subscribe, comment, let me know what you want me to do. I'd be more than happy to help you, so just let me know. So I guess that's it. All right, guys, peace.